Hey, what's up, Burned In Teachers? I'm going live again on YouTube and in my free Burned In Teacher Facebook group at the same time. Again, this is Amber Harper from the Burned In Teacher podcast and burnedinteacher.com. And I want to first of all let you know, if you're enjoying these videos, please like and subscribe. And if you're enjoying the videos here and all of the support that you're getting from the Burned In Teacher Facebook group, please let your friends who you feel would benefit from this support know about the group. And of course, you here on YouTube, if you're joining, you can join the group too. All you have to do is go to facebook.com/groups/burnedinteacher. So if you don't know already, the Burned In Teacher podcast has a monthly theme. And this month, it's all about lack of balance is burning me out. So a couple of weeks ago, last week, the first week of March, I went solo on the podcast and shared some insights from the past Burned In Teacher tribe members. Some of them are members of this Facebook group. And I asked them for their feedback. I asked them for what it was that they really realized and took away from that experience. So I'm going to share that with you here in a moment. And I'm also going to share my main 5 takeaways, 5 ways that you can go from burned and unbalanced to taking control of your workload. Now, if you don't know what I mean by burned and unbalanced, you in the Facebook group, you have a pretty good idea, because this week we had a burn on challenge in the Facebook group. And for you on YouTube, if you are just joining, if you join the Burned In Teacher Facebook group, you can watch all of those live videos and go through the burn on challenge yourself. All right. So the Burned In Teacher quiz, the teacher burnout quiz is you can access that to find out what type of teacher burnout you're struggling with. You could either be burned and unbalanced, which means you're struggling with that work-life balance. You seem to be working on schoolwork a lot, and so you need balance there. Now, you could also be burned and over it. Burned and over it means that because of the apathy that you are being shown by a lot of people around you, either your students, other teachers in your building, or by your principal, that you are also feeling that apathy and you're just kind of over it. You have a terrible relationship with your principal or your fellow teachers or your students, and you're feeling really, really burned out and just over the whole thing. You could also be classified as burned and bored. That means that you just may need a challenge. You're not frustrated. You're just kind of over the mundane and day in, day out. You seem to have figured it all out. You have a great relationship with everybody, but just something's not settling well with you. You just know that you need a change of some sort. Maybe you know what that change is, but maybe you don't. So maybe I need to help you, or you need to seek some help on how it is that you take your next best step there. You can access that teacher burnout quiz by going to burnedinteacher.com/burnout quiz. Now let's get to those 3 takeaways, those 3 main takeaways from the Burned In Teacher tribe members who I interviewed on the podcast last week. So a couple of things that they said. Number 1, they said you should definitely have an accountability buddy. If you are someone who's struggling with burnout, you've acknowledged it, and you even know the type of burnout that you're struggling with, find somebody to help support you. But you need to find 2 different people. One person who is in the thick of things with you. They are living your day-to-day teacher life. They know what it's like to be in your building or to be in that profession that you are in specifically. First grade teacher, a special needs teacher in your school. Somebody that you can talk with and not just vent, but of course seek support. But you also need an accountability buddy who can offer you different perspectives. And in the interview, one of the teacher tribe members, she actually said, Amber, I know that you're not in the classroom full time. She said, but you have been for 12 years, so you know what it's like. But now that you have stepped away and you're able to do all of this research and you're able to give me different perspective, that type of accountability is really helpful as well. So get yourself 2 different types of accountability buddies. And if it's not me with the Burned In Teacher Tribe program, the one that's coming up even here in April, if it's not me, that's okay. You can find somebody. Maybe you need to seek some counseling. Maybe you need to go to therapy. Maybe you have someone at your church that can really help to walk you through these feelings that you're having about your career and your life. Okay? You can find these people in many places. I can tell you, though, that people have found a lot of transformational change from the Burned In Teacher Tribe program, formerly known as the Burned In Teacher Small Group program. The other thing that another teacher who was dealing with burned and unbalanced feelings, she was really struggling with all the things to do. She said to really step back and assess what is really necessary for you to spend the most time on. All right. She told the story of talking to a kindergarten teacher who is easily at school every night until 6. Now, I can't imagine that she gets to school after 7 o'clock, really, because school starts so early. So she mentioned that she feels, and I feel the same way, that you should definitely be assessing what is really important. Are you striving for that Pinterest or Instagram perfect classroom? Are you doing everything for your students? Because I've always said, if you are working harder than your students, you're doing it wrong. And that can be kind of a gut check, kind of thing to realize, but it is something that you do have control over. So I challenge you to really think about what you can take away so that you can get home to your family, your friends, your pets, or just yourself to take care of yourself. The third thing is, does it really have to be so perfect? Okay, I just got done really talking about how to assess, take a step back and look at what you're spending your time on. Do you really need to do those things? All right. Now, something that you can really ask yourself is, does it really have to be that perfect? Do I really have to spend the time to laminate these things and cut them out? Do I really have to spend time searching for that perfect teachers pay teachers bundle that's going to help this activity to look nicer? When I decided that I was going to take control over my teacher life and my time, I decided I was going to do what was best by my kids, for kids, not for me. So when I created different activities in my room, those evergreen centers, evergreen rotations that I've talked about before, I don't know if I've talked to you about them here on the in the group or here on YouTube, but I created evergreen centers and rotations. Of course, I had to teach them my expectations, but once I knew where the kids were and I got them where they needed to go and we practiced, I didn't really have to do a whole lot of maintenance. Of course, I checked in with them, but think about how you can make those centers or rotations, whatever it is that you're doing, those stations, how can you make them evergreen so you're not having to change them out every single week? That can become really time consuming. And also think about, does it have to look so perfect? Does my room have to have these things in it that I have to take care of each week or each day? Now, on to the 5 ways you can go from burned and unbalanced to taking control of your workload. All right. Number 1, spend time really assessing how you're spending your time. All right. Really take time to take note of what it is that you are spending your time on before, during, and after school. This is during your time that you get to school in the morning, or it is during your prep time or your collaboration time with your teaching partners, and of course, after school. Because I guarantee you, if you pay really close attention to how you're spending your time, you're going to notice that you're doing a lot of bouncing around. I know that I used to have a lot of trouble with the squirrel effect, right? I'd run over here and do something, and I'd run over here, and then oh my gosh, I have to go do this thing. I didn't have a plan of action for that planned time. And that actually comes to the second tip that I have for you. Block out certain parts of your day to do certain types of tasks. Okay. So for example, maybe you have a certain time of your planning of your day that you simply work on grading. And of course, if you use Google Forms or other types of technology to do those check-ins, you could also save yourself even more time. But make sure you block out a certain part of your day to do that grading. Okay. And then also spend some time cleaning up your room or have your students clean up the room. You are blocking out specific pieces of time throughout your day, maybe from 2:30 to 3, I work on these tasks. From 3 to 3:30, I work on these tasks. Maybe in the morning, if you get to school at 7, from 7 to 7:30, I work on these tasks. And maybe you only check your email twice a day, once right when you get to school and once right before you leave, and nothing in between. And if it becomes a problem, you simply have a conversation with the person who's sending you these urgent emails and say, listen, I have specific times of my day that I check my email, and I need you to respect that, please. And if it's really urgent, I need you to call me or come to my room and find me. Okay? And that can sometimes be a tough conversation, but remember, your time is precious and you are the only one who can protect it. The next idea, the third way that you can really get control of your workload is making sure that you batch like tasks together. Okay, so maybe you've wanted to make those positive phone calls to your families, or make phone calls at all to families of your students. All right, so maybe while you're doing that grading from 2:30 to 3 from that day, maybe you're taking time out to pick out 3 students and you're making quick phone calls, even just voicemails. And you're saying, hey, I just wanted to let you know that Johnny did really well on this task. Okay, or today I noticed that Jill was really good at this. So I just wanted you to know. So those types of phone calls can really help to build those relationships with families and with your students. But you're batching like tasks together because you're addressing the work that you're looking at, and you're reflecting a little bit on that day. All right. You could also be entering those grades right into your grade book so that you're not rushing to get all of those grades in whenever grade cards come about. All right, so batching like tasks together. So if you're, let's say you're answering emails, that is your time for you to clean out your email, making sure, my goal is always to have 25 or less emails in my inbox. I don't strive for a 0 inbox. I don't know how realistic that is, but I do strive to have 25 or less. And I star the ones that are in there, that stay in there, because they have a specific purpose. So don't feel like you need to set aside a time of your personal time to be cleaning out your email. That should be batched with your morning and or your afternoon email checking. The fourth thing is pay attention to what you're grading and why. Are you actually using those grades, or are you grading those things and then you just hand them back to the kids and you don't do anything with them? Because if that's the case, you have control over that too. Make sure you're grading things in a way that's easy for you, maybe even having the kids grade stuff, and really assessing, am I grading just to grade, or am I actually using these things to inform my instruction and to support my kids? Because if you're not, that is a waste of your time, and it's also a waste of your students' time. That's something else that can take a lot of time, not a lot of time, but a lot of reflection to see if you're doing meaningful work with that paper that you're handing out, or those assignments that you're giving to your kids. And the fifth and final way that you can go from burned and unbalanced to taking control of your workload is to join the Burned In Teacher Tribe program. It starts the week of April 8th. You can go to burnedinteacher.com/BIT coaching to learn more. And of course, you can register anytime. The doors are open. I will help you to go through these plus more steps on how you can go from burned and unbalanced to taking control of your workload so you can be the happiest, most fulfilled human possible. If you haven't already, like and subscribe this YouTube channel, go to Apple iTunes, or tell your phone. You can tell your phone to subscribe to the Burned In Teacher podcast, and it will subscribe you to the Burned In Teacher podcast. And every day you can listen to the podcast to or from school, and you can be ready for any challenges that come your way. There are over 20 episodes of action, inspiration, and support just for you, so you can be the happiest, most fulfilled human possible. Burn on, and I'll see you soon.